stand? Do you
Yeah.
guys pick us up from here?
Can they
sit
behind the mic?
Yeah, that we're all hooked up to that mic.
Again, this is a tour, so I.
But to hear them, they need to be behind the mic.
All right, I just want to say welcome to everybody. We're really excited to have you here, and Theo's going to have a couple of limitations, but otherwise we are going to make the entire space available to you. I think everyone knows the details on the space. It's 30,000 square feet, which is a significant upgrade for us over the roughly 9,000 square feet that we've had in the past. I'd like to say a few things about some of our partners who made this happen. Obviously, we have to thank the Ricketts family, who from the beginning made this a priority, and as we looked at a number of variables, including where this could happen, originally, if you remember, we talked about it being over on the ballpark side, and as we looked at the ways to fit it into the existing footprint of the building, kept running into limitations, largely by the column lines, and what it would allow us to do. We were roughly going to double the size of the space in the original configuration. The idea, actually, Carl Rice's idea of moving it across into the plaza and digging a giant hole and putting it in this space was substantially more expensive, but again, the family supported that, so I want to start with the family. We also had some great help from our corporate partners. So as you walk through the space, you'll see Benjamin Moore, who's been a partner of ours for a long time, Sloan, who obviously gave us our naming rights in Arizona, ATI, our physical therapy partner, you'll see their work here. Ideal, which is our lighting, wireless lighting partner, used throughout the building. All of these folks were incredibly helpful as we kind of went through the process. I'd also like to give some recognition to the team who made this happen. The vision, may have been ours, but the execution of it depended on a whole lot of folks, starting with our architects, DAIQ, which is the ballpark architect that we have been working with really since we enlisted their help after they finished the Fenway project, was the primary sort of design architect, and then VOA is our local architect of record. They really get the kudos for the work that you're about to see. Our project managers, Icon, out of Denver, they're the ones who made this thing happen on time, and really were the marshaling force for the whole project. And then the contractor who did the work is Pepper, the local firm here, which really great partnership with all of those folks as well as our corporate partners to make this happen. We'll take questions later, but I just wanted to make sure the right people got recognition for the work they did. I think you want to say a couple things about what we're about to do.
Yeah, really, I just wanted to mention that we're going to show you everything and give you this behind-the-scenes access. I would just ask for your cooperation. There's really only two areas that are off limits to the cameras: the players' lounge, because it's their personal private space, and then the celebration room. So if everyone here agrees that we'll shut our cameras off for those two areas, then we can give you guys a glimpse at it and take you in so you can at least see it, so you have better context for everything. Is that okay with everybody? Sure. Okay, so we won't do cameras for those two spaces, but besides that, I think everything else is on limits, and everything is open to you guys. And I'll just walk along with the tour, and if you have questions from anything from a baseball standpoint, I'd be happy to answer. I'm sure you're eager to see the place, so let's get started.
And one last thing, it's a large group, obviously, so we'll do our best to stage up in each of the locations. Carl Rice will be our tour guide. Carl, obviously responsible for the day-to-day building of this, and probably knows more on the details than any of the rest of us. So I think Julian, you're going to try and take this group in one large mass to each of the spaces?
Yes, we'd like the cameras to kind of take the lead. That way, once we get everyone in the space, we don't have to have the cameras cutting through 30 or 40 people. So if we can, if you guys, if we discussed Kevin leaving the sticks.
If we can leave the sticks, we can come back. We found that we wanted to make sure that our video side was as big as, or if not larger, than any other club in baseball. So our space itself, as you've seen in the room, is broken down into two separate areas. One which is video scouting, which is actually the monitors that you see down low on the computer desk, for our scouts, for our players to be able to be up to date with the current things that are happening in their game, and for scouting of advanced scouting. There's also in the room 11 televisions, so that we can actually be scouting other games as they're going in progress. There's nothing going on today, but you can see the ESPN, the Baseball Network stuff. And at the end of the room, we actually have meeting space, so the players can come in here and do advanced scouting work on the big TV that's on the end of the room. The room itself is one of the ones that are being occupied today. We met a few of the people that are actually in here today working for the players, getting ready for the games that are coming up the remaining of this week. Questions?
It's primarily for the use of the players or for coaches and scouts? Or?
It's for the use of the players and the coaching staff. The coaching staff will be in the room early, and the players will come in before the game and after the game and look at what's happening.
What about during the game?
During the game, they're on the ballpark side, so there's another video room that's more adjacent to the dugout that we use during the game.
The technology side, you just got to explain how all this works to the scouts.
Actually, I more defer to the video guys to explain, but I'll give you. Every game, every pitch is recorded on our computer system. Every ball strike, location, speed, and at any point, the technology allows us to call up that information and look at it on a frame-by-frame sequence to see what's going on, not only for our games, but also for advanced scouting for other
set the
games.
lighting level appropriately based on our lighting consultants.
The clubhouse itself, the inspiration from it, it's a round clubhouse. There's only one other round clubhouse in baseball, and that's with the San Diego Padres. We're trying to approximate and keep everything at equidistant from every locker. And Theo can comment more about the baseball aspects of doing that. There's inner seating, outer seating, and then locker seating adjoining every locker space. And it's really the central point for the locker. Any questions?
Can Theo come over and talk about the baseball part of this? What this does for the team's performance, the camaraderie, and all of that? Is this what the locker room feel like?
Yeah. We wanted to design a really comfortable space for players, but majority of the time, here in the locker room itself. Instead of here with a circle, to be a circle set up, all the people, this does the way we run the club, the way our players operate. So one player has a locker position, or locker staggered, the other players are all
Strong points set up in the winter time, but now I think we're always going to host. And in the last couple of years, we've been able to show them mock-ups and videos, simulations, what it might look like someday when we get the clubhouse. But to have the real thing, it's incredible. A couple of our players were already joking that we're going to have to turn free agents away. It's too bad there are only 25 roster spots. We're going to have to go with no vacancy from time to time. And they think their friends around the league are all going to want to play here when they hear about how nice this clubhouse is.
Theo, your manager doesn't want the ball players arriving too early, but this would be tempting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sure would. We've got conflicting interests there, but I think Joe said he'd make an exception now because this place feels like home and it's so comfortable and so enjoyable. Joe's whole ethos, the reason he doesn't want them to be here too early is he wants them to enjoy themselves. Go about their day, show interest in other things besides baseball, and then show up to work ready to go play. But as you'll see as we walk around here, there are some other things to do besides baseball in this space, and certainly you can relax and get ready for the game here. So I think now that we have such comfortable facilities, players can report whenever they want, and Joe will be happy with it. We might even see Joe more around here more now. You guys saw his office. All right.
We're going to continue on into the strength room. The old strength and conditioning space was approximately 3,000 square feet, 3,400. So actually on room dimensions, you could fit 7 of the rooms that used to be. Baseball guys can talk more about the baseball aspects of the training facility. Give you a comparison, our strength room in Arizona is about 10,000 square feet, so it's a little bit less than half that size. But for a baseball comparison, this is as large, if not larger, than everybody else's strength room in the industry.
Arizona's for 150 players.
Yes, and Arizona's for 150 players, and this is just for the 25-man team.
And how will it affect the player?
Yeah, it's a great feeling to know that our players have everything possible at their disposal to get stronger, to get faster, to get better prepared for the game, to prevent injuries. And for years they would have to make do in a really small space with substandard equipment, and there were exercises and workouts that they couldn't do. And that's a horrible feeling from a competitive standpoint, knowing that your guys are at a competitive disadvantage. So we wanted to go all out here and in Mesa with the strength and conditioning, because it's such an integral part of the game now. Guys don't stop working when the season starts. You see, last night after the game, I saw 4 or 5 players in here getting a post-game workout in. This morning, before you guys got here, I saw a number of players in here getting their off-day workout in. So you make a nice, roomy, attractive, fully stocked, state-of-the-art place for guys to work out. They're going to work out more. It's a pretty simple formula. And this is really important. If you look on the sign there, it says where it happens. We feel like a lot of our wins come from the work that happens behind the scenes. This is where that happens.
What were some of the
Office building, so we're about to cross the threshold from where the plaza meets the ballpark. So you're gonna go through the tunnel that connects us to actually the old clubhouse, which is now our batting tunnel. So you're basically right now outside the Wrigley Field itself. And so this tunnel is gonna take you inside, basically under the main concourse where all the fans are walking. So that's this space and straight upstairs. And then there's a celebration room.
Yeah, well, we're going to walk through the tunnel, which the players use to get to the dugout, and you can shoot in there. When we get up through the tunnel, then we get outside you can shoot the batting cage,
Yeah.
and then we'll gather, and then we'll kill the cameras, and we'll show you guys a little bit of the celebration area.
So, like Bruce, so our elevation is different from plaza to ballpark. So this is the sort of gradual decline. We take people, actually the next stage of construction, we'll get rid of this.
Which is about 140 feet. It takes about a minute for a slow walk to go from the old locker room to the new dugout. A quick pace, you make it in about 30 to 35 seconds. Walk from here to the actual dugout is about 20 seconds. So we added a little bit of time, but we think it was well worth it. This where we're standing right now is the old clubhouse. Behind me was where the old locker room used to be, which we've now converted into a batting cage for the team. And on the other side is actually where the player lounge used to be.
As opposed to having a batting cage like they have here now,
In this location, when the team was out in the field, it used to be a batting tee with the thing that used to be dropped down in front of the television so we could protect the television from getting broken. So now they have a full-fledged batting cage that are here. So they can do all their work here pre-game, and the pinch hitter can actually use this cage during the game to get ready to make his appearance. Other questions?
I can imagine Ronnie, but
Yeah,
those guys
so far just Billy, and he absolutely loved the new clubhouse. In fact, I think it was his grandson he had with him yesterday, and he took him on a historical chronological tour of Wrigley. So he started down the left field line where their groundskeeper area is now, which was the old clubhouse pre-1984, and showed him how cramped that was, and that's where he used to dress as a player. And then he walked him to the clubhouse we've been using all the way through 2015 and showed him what that was like, and then revealed the new clubhouse to him. And I think it was his little way of showing how you can appreciate the past while also making progress as you go forward with new technology and new facilities. And that's really the approach the organization took. What the Ricketts wanted to do was to honor the past, and you see touches of Cubs history with the history boxes and all the pictures on the wall while moving forward. So be respectful and appreciative and connected to the past, but continue to make progress, and that's what this new clubhouse represents.
Talked a little bit about the celebration with Theo, but we couldn't record it there. Can you talk in here about what the purpose of that was?
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna make too much of it. I think it's not a secret that our players like to celebrate the wins. It's hard to win a major league game, and you want to enjoy it. But and Joe and those of us in the front office and ownership, everyone's supportive of that approach. You got to have fun. You got to recognize the accomplishments. But what our players do is they have fun together, celebrating for about 5 minutes after every win. It's great for camaraderie. It's great for morale. They know how to have a good time, something they look forward to. And then after 5 minutes, they turn their focus to the next day's game. And that was an approach that really worked for us last year, 97 times anyways. And the goal with the celebration room in this clubhouse is it's simply to protect the great locker room that we have now. It's brand new, it's beautiful, as you guys saw, and we don't want it to be trashed with crazy dance celebrations. So we opened up some space off a corridor at the old player lounge. Is now where the post-game celebrations take place, and it's great for the players to be able to have their own celebration in private, do their thing, and then by the time they get to the beautiful locker room, they're focused on the next day's game.
Craig, what's this whole operation cost them?
So we're not talking about the exact number, but it's new you're asking. So it's the based on, you know, we did a review. We were fortunate that there were a number of new ballparks that came online. The 2 in New York, the 1 in Miami, the 1 in Minnesota. So we're able and appreciate the ownership there, letting us in on those facilities and to try and improve on those ideas. This is the most expensive of all the clubhouses that were built in the modern age, and I would assume more expensive than anything was built in the past. But we're not commenting beyond that on the actual number.
You know, with the new facilities, you're going to be able to, he's going to be able to be around the team, where if this was last year, he would have to go to Arizona, and you guys probably wouldn't see him until who knows when.
Yeah, the new training room allows us the flexibility to do all our rehabs here. And in Kyle's case, once we get through the surgery, if it ends up being the most appropriate place for him to have his rehab, that'll be terrific for him because he can stay connected to his teammates, and for us, so we can really supervise his rehab in a hands-on manner. Basically, what you see in the training room with the hyperbaric chamber, the hot and cold tubs, the 2 different kinds of saunas, the float pod, everything in the strength and conditioning room, that's what you'll see in a state-of-the-art rehabilitation center. So we have all the equipment we need thanks to the space and the Ricketts allowing us the freedom to stock it the way our trainers and strength and conditioning guys and rehab guys and trainers and doctors wanted us to, so we can do everything in-house now.
Theo, when you were first getting things going here under your job, and when you were with the Ricketts kind of consulting on all this, those are all just visions, and what's it like to have this as a reality now and coincide with a baseball team that's continued to win a world championship?
Yeah, it's been a really rewarding week for all of us because this has been many years in the making, and we talked for a long time about our theoretical plan on the baseball side, and our theoretical plan on the business side, and our theoretical plan for the restoration of Wrigley Field. And those were just visions, and it's important to have vision, but it's another thing to execute. And we're not all the way there with our baseball building, but we like the progress that we've made. We're not quite all the way there with the restoration of Wrigley Field, and we're not at the finish line for our business plan either. But in all 3 areas, we feel like with a lot of teamwork and a lot of hard work and the support of ownership and the contributions of literally hundreds of people, we're making significant progress. And that's a nice feeling to have it sync up and a symbiotic relationship between the baseball and the business side and the support of ownership. It's getting us closer to where we want to be, which is, obviously celebrating a World Series in a brand new ballpark with a healthy and thriving business side as well.
When you walked into the clubhouse for the first time, did you say, wow, this is better than I even thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I've been down here quite a bit since we got back from spring training, and it was fascinating to see it really come together that last week. So if you spent your morning down here and then went out for lunch and came back, an hour later, it seemed like a week's worth of progress was made. And for me, it seemed like 3 months worth of progress was made just in that last week. So that was, being a layman and a novice, not familiar with this type of project in the past, it was a real education for me. But they tolerated us, our input, and I think they're glad the project's over from that standpoint. But it was fun to be a part of it, not something that I'm not used to.
Carl, you were talking the other room about the logistics of burying all this underground. But whose idea was this, and was it sort of a compromise that had to be struck because of the pinched-in nature of the lot you're looking at?
So, back, and Theo kind of talked about this, we first had our discussions about the new clubhouse about 4 years ago. And we were originally talking about trying to build it in the existing space where the old clubhouse was. We took a look at that and just realized that if we really were trying to do what the family wanted, we weren't going to be able to build it in that space and give Theo all the things that he needed to do for the baseball team. And so at the same time, we were looking at building the office building and the hole that we were going to have to dig to do that part of this project. We took a hard look, and actually it was kind of an idea that came to us one night and recommended to Crane and Theo that we actually take the actual clubhouse, move it outside the building, put it as part of the plaza project and bury it underground. And then one thing was the walk, and how far the players were gonna have to move from the locker room to the field, which is about 150 feet, which is, farther than what we've experienced in the past. And once we settled on the fact that we were gonna have the amount of square footage out here to be able to do that, the project then looked at what it was gonna take to dig the hole right next to the ballpark. When they built the ballpark in 1914, I don't think anyone ever imagined they were gonna dig a 40-foot hole next to the ballpark and put the new clubhouse there. And so with the previous phases of the project, last year's phase and what we had to do earlier, was really about shoring up the ballpark and making sure they could handle the hole that we were building out here. Took a great deal of work by our engineering team to make sure that we were doing the right thing for the ballpark, including the fact that we were playing baseball here all last season, including into the postseason. So once we got that all taken care of and we shored up the ballpark, we started digging the hole, and we realized that we were going to have a special space. And really, when it started to come together, Theo talked about the visits that folks were making, they started to really get an idea of the square footage that was going to be here for the baseball team. A lot of people get a lot of credit for what happened to make sure that this was going to occur. It starts with the family being able to dedicate the resources to us to build the space, and the engineers, that went about trying to make sure that they were shoring up the ballpark the right way and allow us to build this thing, between Clark Street and the edge of the ballpark.
Dane, I just say one other thing. The space kind of led us to it, because when you start adding up, so for instance, talking to Tim Buss and the strength guys, if you ask them, what do you need to have a world-class facility, they would give you a sense of perspective in terms of how much space they need. Then you go to PJ and Mark O'Neill and you say, how much space do you need to have a world-class sort of training room and rehab center? And you do that right down the line to the video room, etc. That gave you a scale that you needed to try and do something world-class. And then you looked at the envelope of space we had on the Wrigley side, and they didn't match. So now you have a problem. And to be honest, I thought the problem would end there, and the answer would be compromise. And we took it to Tom and said, so if you really want to have world-class facilities, this is what it means, and we don't have the space for it. Now, if we want to more than double the budget, we could do something dramatic, but from the expense side, it's going to be a hard one. And the answer, much like the answer on all the other questions we've asked, has been do it right. So then you get into the engineering of how do you shore up, which this is like, we're basically surrounded by Lake Michigan beach sand. This is a terrible environment to try and build in. So then you hand that problem to the engineers at Thornton Tomasetti and say, how do you build a cavity this big in what is essentially a sea of